Good morning, YouTuber fam. It's Jonny Cashflow here, and if I don't catch you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. So I did something I thought I would never do. I sold one of my homes with a 2.5% interest rate. It was hard, but I was just doing what made every bit of financial sense in the universe. So that's what I want to talk about with you guys today. And at the end of this video, I also want to share a totally crazy thing about real estate that will totally blow your mind even more than this video on why I sold my 2.5% interest rate house in South Florida. Oh my goodness, who could do that? Okay, so I will say, I will do a more extended video on why I sold my house with that infamous and famous 2% interest rate. But one of the critical things that I want to point out, one of the things I talk about in my book is that there's a four-headed monster. And the four-headed monster of inflation, taxes, don't have it pulled up right now, but the critical thing is that part of the reason you need to be able to duplicate and leverage your time and your assets and your income is because your earning or your income, your buying power is constantly getting eroded by income or by interest, by taxes, by insurance. Okay, so these things that will constantly be prevalent in your life will constantly be eroding your purchasing power, right? So it's a very interesting thing. I refinanced in February of 2021. I was part of the frenzy that saw the vision that interest rates will never be 0% ever again in my life. They might never be 6% again. Who knows? Fed funds rate may never be below 4% the way things are going. But I digress. What I will say is when I refinanced all of 2.5 years ago, what that did is it dropped my monthly payments to almost $500 and increased the amount going to equity by over $300 each month. So that was a wonderful thing that happened, right? It was under 500, but over 400 that the monthly mortgage is produced, right? And that's where it's like, oh yeah, well, anybody buying now, well, I can just refinance. Well, that's a complicated issue too, because if the interest rates are 10% and your property values drop 30%, you will not be able to refinance unless you can make up the difference that your property has just dropped in value. And it also might not make sense to refinance if you're trying to refinance at 8, 9, or 10%, which is unfortunately looking like the trajectory of things. So I say all that to say, I give you all that detail to say a mind-blowing thing. As of this last tax and insurance season of, getting my new assessments from the tax man, getting my new bills from the insurance company, and I actually have a great I have a great insurance guy, Andy Caston. Shout out to you. You're great. You do a great job. And I heard a lot worse things happen in terms of people's insurance rates going up 10, 20, 30, 40% in Florida. And while I didn't get that, here's the interesting thing. As of this November, I would be paying the exact same rate on that house that I was paying 2.5 years ago. So all of the savings that I made in refinancing 2 years ago has already been eaten up mostly by insurance increases, but both by insurance increases and tax increases on the property. And you say, oh, well, but you're still saving that $400 or $500 a month on the interest. Yeah, I am. But the problem is that there's not actually additional cash flow. And the problem is that that's true for me. It's going to be true for millions of people in Florida. And it's going to be more true over time for millions of people across this country. the assessments, the tax assessments, the newly assessed values hit the mortgages all across this country in the next 2 and 3 years, people are going to have sticker shock by how much their insurance increases and how much their property tax costs increase. So if you're right on the threshold, you're already house broke and you're living off your credit card, and now your mortgage goes up 20% because taxes go up 10% and insurance goes up 10%. Suddenly, you're going backwards in an insolvent way, in a way that you can't keep up with long term. You won't be able to keep up with. And you're either going to get foreclosed on, bankrupted, you're going to sell. There may be forced selling. So these are all the types of situations that you can look at, and the concern of who's going to be holding the bag on real estate. But the whole critical thing that I wanted to point out in this video that blows my mind is that just in 2.5 years, that miraculous, once in a lifetime, 20% drop in the cost of my mortgage has already evaporated from the increase in insurance and tax costs, which is insane. So that's the critical thing that I wanted to share in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope y'all are having a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, day, whenever you caught this, And what I think will really help to make this video make even more sense is if you check out the next video. In the next video, I'm going to answer the question of whether a house is an asset or a liability. So definitely check that out, and I'll catch you on the next one.